I am your future self, and as you are the king of kibble, that makes me the future king. Ha! Don't make me laugh. You are but a pretender to the throne. All hail Starix Dundee, the one true king of kibble.
Hello YouTube, it's me TFR Wilderness and welcome to my channel and welcome to the first of my 200 series reviews. Yes, obviously you saw my 500 subs video where I did review 200, so now this is review 201. First of a new series or season, so to speak, of reviews that I'm doing, and I'm starting off with a KTRT review because that's what I do. Yeah, but this one is kind of a little bit special because it's a reformatted reboot of a character from the original series of Hello Carbots that was basically the beginning or the genesis of me becoming a Korean transforming toy collector and reviewer. I am of course referring to Hello Carbot Starix Dandy. So here he is in his van mode. Got this guy back in 2015. Did a review on him. I mean, the reason I got him was because when I saw his debut in episode 10 of season 1, this guy appeared, and Chatan was chasing some guys because his mum and him had been, driving some security truck with a special thing in the back to a presentation. And these crooks, sort of nicked the van and drove off, and so he summons the Carbot, and Dandy appears. It's his debut, and he gets in and they chase after these crooks, and then they corner them in the forest, and Dandy transforms into his robot mode, and he's got all this van kibble just hanging off everywhere, hanging off his shoulders and off his back and off his legs and his arms, and it doesn't impede his progress at all. He dances around like an athlete, and going after these bad guys and jetting around through the forest, and absolutely amazing to watch. And he's got an interesting little tick when he speaks. Whenever he talks, whenever he finishes a sentence, he goes, he makes like a rev noise. And it's really, it endears the character to you. And he's a big guy, compared to the other Carbot characters, he's a lot bigger. And then I got the toy because of that. It made me want to get the toy, and I got the toy, and it's so big, and it's heavy, and it's solid, and it's nice shiny plastic, and it's got a decent amount of articulation. Okay, it's missing a few articulation joints. It hasn't got a waist joint, hasn't got ankle tilts, hasn't got bicep swivels, but it's got all the other joints, and it's so big and so colourful. And when I did my review, I called him the king of kibble, So if you've seen that little skit I put at the front of the video, I kind of wanted to do something because of, it's Dandy, old and new, sort of facing off against each other. One's the king of kibble, and the other one's saying, "Oh, I'm the king," and the other one's saying, "No, you're not. I'm the one true king." And I wanted to do that. It's not very good because I haven't really got any skill to do those sort of toy skits. But it is what it is. I decided to put it in, so make of it what you will. So yeah, I got Dandy, and so this figure that I've got for you today is basically a reissue of Starix Dandy from the original show. Well, he's not called Starix Dandy anymore because Starix was a product brand name for the Hyundai Starix van. Obviously, they did away with the Hyundai branding because this is one of the original ones. It's got all the Hyundai logos on it because it's one of the original licensed scale model. It's a 1/23rd scale actually, Starix van. And that's what I liked about these figures to begin with, was the fact they were scale models of real-world vehicles. But as the seasons went on, they moved away from that because they didn't want to pay the licensing fee and all that stuff. Anyway, so season 9 this year rolls around. I see the reveals of the characters coming out, and then I see Pentastorm's got reissued. The original combiner from season 1. Pentastorm, you know, I've got the original guy. Obviously, he's missing a leg at the moment because I've got his leg bot down here for size comparisons a bit later on. Yeah, so I got this, and this guy's been reissued, but in a brand new sort of updated form. All the characters have been updated. The original combiner was what was called a copolymer, where basically the limbs in the show they transform from their civilian mode into an emergency vehicle mode where they change colours, and they actually got a different head sculpt when they changed colours. I had a bit of a problem with that because to me, if you get a character mould, you repaint it in different colours and give it a different head sculpt, that then makes it a different character, as with, you know, Transformer repaints. So the fact they were doing it in Hello Carbots was a bit weird, and I didn't really like or appreciate that feature. I mean, if they'd have kept the head sculpts the same, I wouldn't have had such a problem with it, but anyway, it is what it is. So, yeah, they did this copolymer thing where that toy, the car modes don't have individual robot modes of their own. They just turn into limbs, which then plug into the big guy, and it becomes a combiner. But this new version of Pentastorm, they've gone for what I refer to as the proper way to do a Transformers toy, whereby the individual bots do have robot modes of their own, and then they combine with the big guy to make a combiner. So the new Pentastorm X does have proper combining bots. There is a trade-off with this. The limb bots are slightly smaller than the original bots from season 1, but they do transform. And the combiner, I've seen other people doing reviews of it, and size-wise, they're about the same size, mate. I think Penta X is slightly bigger. Yeah, all these new reissue figures from Season 9, they've got X. It's like, Dandy X and Sky X and Fron X and, Ace X. They've all got the X moniker on them to signify that they're like extreme versions or whatever it is. So, yeah. So Dandy has got reissued, and because I have such a nostalgic affinity with the original character, because he was the beginnings of me becoming a collector of Korean toys, I felt I had to get, at least, if I was going to get any of the figures from this new Pentastorm X set, it was going to be Dandy X. So, with that said, here he is. Now, here he is in his alt mode, which is a modern-looking ambulance stroke paramedic unit in fairly typical ambulance colours, white with a red stripe. It's got the Korean emergency number 119 on the side. It's got like a ambulance and a big, like a heartbeat sort of thing down there. Got the Red Cross on there, and it's a decent vehicle mode. Now, before we go any further, let's have a look at the packaging, because it's quite interesting. Now, Starrett's Dandy's box is this monstrosity. It's huge. He's a big character. It's got a plastic window. It's got a plastic clamshell inside. It is a massive box. The new packaging is like this. It's a lot smaller. It's a little bit thinner, a lot shorter, and inside they're thinking about the environment. They've gone for egg carton type, sort of clamshells instead of plastic for holding the characters in. So you put the character in. You have to mistransform him to get him inside, but so the packaging is much reduced, and it's more biodegradable than the original packaging. So that's well done to Choi Rock, for doing that. That's very, very, very good that they did that. It does come with instructions. Obviously, you get the transformation instructions on one side, and then on the other side you get the combiner instructions for all the figures and the new Pentastorm X. So you get that, and you also get the little chip in the baggie. Chatan now has like a watch which has got like a space in it. He puts these little chips in, and then he turns the dial and blah blah blah. The warp appears and the characters turn up. And so that's the latest thing with Chatan's sort of like activator watch. It's these little chips. They have a chip inside. You put it in, it does lights and sounds. I haven't got it, so I've got no need to open this thing. So, Dandy's ambulance mode. It's got a decent weight to it. It's fairly heavy. It's got some lovely vacuum formed chrome wheels on the side. I mean, underneath, obviously, it's just a folded up robot dude. Size comparison with the original Starrex Dandy. Obviously, there's a big size difference. This is a 1/23rd scale. If this was a scale vehicle, it would have to be, you know, a little bit bigger to scale up with this guy. But as it happens, you know, it's smaller, a little bit smaller. So I don't know what size this would be. It'd probably be like a 1/28th or 1/30th scale vehicle, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, now you've got the ambulance mode for Pentastorm. Now, because obviously Dandy's original civilian form was like that, and then he turns into an ambulance like this. This is one of 2 ambulance modes that Dandy had in season 1. He had like this red and green one, and he also had like a yellowish one as well. But anyway, you can see size-wise, it's a little bit smaller, but it doesn't scale with the original Dandy toy. But it does scale quite well with this new Dandy X. I mean, they look pretty close actually in terms of scale, I think. So that's not bad. So anyway, then obviously he's got pinwheels that roll really well. He's got a decent weight. He's fairly solid. He's got like opening doors on the back of the ambulance mode. Of course, inside there's Dandy's head. Not a lot of space for, you know, putting patients in and for a ride to the hospital, but there you go. That's a thing that this toy does, kind of. And it hasn't got much else paint apps. I mean, it's got like a light bar across here. It's got blacked out windows. It's got a black grille, transparent blue lenses, and a silver grille on the front. But, you know, the rest of the vehicle mode isn't really packed out or picked out in any paint, so to speak. Right, now, transforming this guy into robot mode. First of all, a little bit of parts forming. You've got this thing that comes off the top. Now, it's like a backpack for the robot mode, and it also it combines with the weapon, with Storm's weapon, to form a huge axe for, you know, Pentastorm X. So you just fold that out like that and put it to one side. And then the transformation, you know, fairly typical. You probably start with these side panels, sort of fold them out. Then you can do the back panels and fold them round. Then get these panels and fold them forwards. Then you take the top of the vehicle mode and you unclip it like so, and then fold them up. Then come around to the front, split the legs, then you fold out the feet like so, and that's the bottom of the robot mode done. Then the arms, they're on these sort of like butterfly joints which come forwards. This piece then folds down, fold out the arms, turn the head round, and then you're supposed to get this thing and the big port on the back, and you plug it in, and there is Dandy X in his robot mode. Now, when I saw the pictures of this thing, I thought, oh my god, what have they done to him? You know, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of the appearance and aesthetic of the original Starrex Dandy, because, you know, he looks so amazing. He's got great colours. He's got like he's got a lot of kibble, and it's hanging off various parts of his body, but it kind of looks all right. You know, like Grimlock always has those kibble wings on the back. You know, like the Carbot, well, the original car formers from Transformers. You know, like the Datsun brothers, like Blue Streak and Smokescreen, and that they always had like the door wings hanging off the back. You know, it was car kibble, but it was all part of their robot mode. Same thing with Starrex Dandy. This guy, not so much. I will admit, in hand he's a lot better than what he looks in the photographs and his on-screen version, but he still has, basically big chunks of the van just hanging off his shoulders, and when you turn him to the side, he can't see out sideways, because it obscures his view when he's looking to the side. I don't think that this backpack does anything for his robot mode, to be honest. It just looks seriously egregious. You can take it off, and his robot mode looks a little bit cleaner without it, though he is supposed to have this on as on his robot mode in the show. So yeah, there's that. He's also got these sort of blasters stroke boosters folded on the side of his legs. Oh yeah, I've got to fold those in. That's it. You've got to fold those things in. You've got to fold those wheels in like that. Now, Ace, I mean, they're like the other characters. They share mold types with these guys, like Ace, who forms the other foot for Penta X. He has a really good-looking robot mode. I mean, his aesthetic and Kibble works really well with his robot mode. And like I said, he has the wheels that fold into his shins, whereas Dandy has them hanging off the side of his feet, which doesn't look quite so good. And Thingy has the wheels like that. So it swings and roundabouts, really. It's basically the same mould. I mean, the front of the vehicle mode is the same, but the rest of it's all different. But this guy, as you can see, he's got these big voids here. He's got these bits hanging off here. He's got like the massive great chunk there. He's got the backpack. It just looks a bit of a mess. Doesn't look as cohesive and as cool as the original Dandy figure. And size comparison, yeah. Let me just transform Dandy back to his robot mode. Yeah, so you do a size comparison between these two, and yeah, big difference. Starix Dandy is massive. I mean, he is pretty big for an original Season 1 Carbot. He's bigger than most of the others, apart from Storm. But, yeah, compared to this new version, he's had a big old downscale. And my usual size comparison, which I do when I'm doing these Korean views, is Leader Class Megatron. And as you can see, Leader Class Megatron's even bigger than him, So, a bit of a downscale. But I suppose that's all because they turn into limbs for the combiners, so they had to scale them up. And as you saw when I did the size comparison with Pentastorm's Dandy version, you can see that the scale of the vehicle mode on this and this is more or less the same. So they've basically scaled them down. Now, obviously, like I said, when it comes to Kibble, Starix Dandy is still king. This guy is pretender to the throne. He's like, there's no way you could refer to this guy as the king of Kibble, because his Kibble just looks such a mess. Not as cool and as workable as it is on the original guy. So yeah, he's not the king of Kibble anymore. But he's not a bad toy. I mean, right, let's get onto this as a individual toy. Let's forget all about any previous versions of the figure. Let's just try and review this thing in a toy in itself. So if there was no such thing as the original Hello Carbot, and let's say Season 9 was the first season and Pentastorm X was a brand new, intellectual property from Hello Carbots and Choi Rock, let's look at it that way, shall we? So, this figure, yeah, okay. Size-wise, it's a bit smaller than a Leader Class figure. And yet, you can argue, I mean, I paid 50 odd quid for this, about 56 quid I think with the postage and everything, because now when you're buying these figures off eBay, Mr. Soon and a lot of the other sellers, they're all charging shipping now. They don't do free shipping anymore, which is very disappointing. And even if you buy these through like a Korean website like Gmarket or 11th Street, you still have to pay postage on them. You can get the figures a lot cheaper, but when you add the shipping to it, it works out about the same price, around about sort of mid to high 50s for a figure this size, which I would prefer to pay a little less for it, but it is what it is. Now, build quality though is very good. It's nice and heavy. The plastic's nice and solid. It's really solid figure, decent build quality. Let's go do the articulation. Now, obviously, he's got a ball jointed head, which goes all the way around. It's got a little bit of wiggle. That's cool. Now, this is where the kibble sort of gets in the way of things. Because of the backpack, when you turn his arm, it hits the backpack and it falls off, which is why I prefer to take this thing off, because I think the robot mode looks better without it, and also it frees up some of the articulation. Now, obviously, you can hear nice ratchet shoulder joint. There's a little bit of a clearance issue down the bottom. Now, it's on a butterfly joint, so you can sort of bend it forwards and backwards. Now, he does have a 90-degree elbow, and he has got a bicep swivel, but it's below the elbow and not above it, so it's more of a wrist swivel than anything else. So it's a shame they couldn't have put a mushroom peg up here and give him a proper bicep swivel, but at least he's got something. I mean, they could have just done that as a straight, sort of right angle, sort of, a pivot and be done with it. But no, he has kind of got a bicep swivel, even though it's below the knee and below the elbow, not above it. So articulation top half is okay. Now, this guy has a waist joint. So yeah, that's good. That's always good. I mean, the original Starix Dandy didn't have that. He didn't have bicep swivels either. So you could say this guy's a step up. But like I said, I'm not trying to review this in comparison with anything else. So he's got a waist joint. He's got bicep swivels. Now he does have a 90-degree knee, but you can see kibble on the back of the legs, kibble on the back of the causes that to get in the way. Now if you turn the leg to the side, you can see he gets a full 90, in fact a little bit over 90 degrees, but these things so get in the way. Yeah, so it's restricted knee articulation. If you bring it forwards, it can do it, but when he's in a standard, standing stance, it gets in the way. Right, now feet. He does have ankle tilts, which is new. They didn't need to do that, but they did. Obviously, and also he's got these joints here, so he's got like a foot bend and an ankle tilt, so you can say he's got universal ankles, which is again new. This is new. They've not really seen this before. I mean, the original Starix Dandy did not have. He had ankles that folded back because of transformation, but he just had that angular cut on his soles of his feet that gives him a neutral A stance when he's standing on a flat surface. So there is that. So it's decently articulated for what it is. I mean, could they have improved the articulation on this? Yes, they could have moved the bicep swivel above the elbow and gave it proper bicep swivels. That could have been something they could have done, but they didn't. And the rest of it's all right. It's okay. And like I said, again, nice solid toy, decent build quality, good quality plastics. It's not bad. But obviously the parts forming backpack can get in the way of things when you're messing around with the arms. And I don't think it looks that great on the back of the robot mode. It kind of ruins the aesthetic and the profile, but that's just me. So what do I think of this figure as a whole? It's all right. Obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed they've downscaled the characters, but I reckon that's all part of working into the new combiner, so I understand that. The aesthetic on them is because obviously they're not based on real-world vehicles like the original, Carbot figures were. They're all like fictitious vehicles, so at least it kind of looks like a modern sort of ambulance with it's got the front of it's like a car, and then it's got this big box on the back, which is the paramedic unit. It's got that going on. Ace, his sort of like mold mate from Pentastorm X, has got a really good looking robot mode. He's the same sort of basic shape. He's got like a remold, different head, a different chest. The way the legs work is much better on his version because the wheels fold into this void here in his calf, and I'm probably going to get Ace. But then again, I'm not planning on getting Sky or Prawn because I have problems with their robot modes. I mean, Prawn, he like the rear quarters of the car become his feet, and yeah, okay, we've had Hello Carbot figures where that's been the case before, but this guy, I mean, his boots are absolutely massive. You know, totally oversized for the size of the figure. And I'm not really a huge fan of From's new mode, and I can't believe what they've done to Sky. I mean, Sky X. I mean, she in the original show she was that Velastar, sort of Hyundai sports car with the three doors on it. Really good orange sports car. And then she had the SWAT car mode, which looked really cool. And now she's still a SWAT car, but they've turned her into an ugly SWAT truck. She turns into this really boxy, ugly, hideous-looking truck. And I can't believe they did that to the token fembot of the team. They gave her this. I mean, okay, you could argue she's a bit of a badass character, but I wouldn't have done that. I mean, KR Brickbot did a review of Sky X, and he seemed to think that she was the best character out of the set of the Limbots. I'm not so sure. I'm on the fence about getting Pentastorm X Combiner. I want to get hold of Storm X, but he's going for some ridiculous scalper prices. I mean, he's supposed to retail at 72,001, and which roughly translates through exchange rates to just under 50 quid. But there's people asking like over 100 for him, so that they're basically, even Mr. Soon's asking over 100 quid for it. Admittedly, it's a new figure that's just come out, and when the new figures come out, they tend to jack up the prices because it's a must-have item. But as time goes on, I think you might find the price might come down a bit. I'm in no great rush to get hold of one, but I'd like to get him. And then I'm going to have to come to the decision, do I want to continue getting the rest of the figures for Pentastorm X? I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. It's going to be an expensive undertaking to buy all these figures individually rather than, buying a big guy in a oneer. They have reissued the original Pentastorm, but they've given him a facelift to do away with the Hyundai licensing, and it's still an expensive toy to get hold of. You'd be lucky to get one for 150 quid. But anyway, so this guy, Dandy Ambulance X, so he's okay. He's a decent figure in himself. The one thing I forgot to do, before I finish this review, I've got to show him his combiner mode. So you basically transform him back into vehicle mode, more or less. So So basically what you do, you bring those things forward, then you flip up this panel here, and then that basically is his foot mode for Pentastorm X. That's basically his foot mode. No, it's a thing. I mean, you can sort of fold them back. I'm not sure whether... Actually, I think you have to have that like that. So, yeah. That's it. But anyway, it is a thing. It's a combiner. He's got a combiner mode. But, yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to do the combiner. I'm on the fence about it. It's going to be an expensive undertaking. So yeah, that is that. That is my review of Hello Carbot's Dandy Ambulance X from Season 9. He's like a reformatted upgrade of the original Dandy figure from Season 1. And he's an okay toy. He's smaller, but you know, build quality is solid. You know, decent quality. Yes, his robot mode doesn't look quite as good as the old King of Kibble, because you know his kibble is a bit egregious and unnecessary, and especially that stupid backpack it's got on it. But anyway, he's part of a combiner. They've reissued, they've reformatted, you know, Pentastorm for a new generation, and yeah, so yeah, it's a thing. I had to buy it because my connection with Dandy, the first Korean toy that I ever got and reviewed, I had to get his new version. So with that said, I've been TFR Wilderness. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you'll have enjoyed this video, and I will catch you all next time. Ta-da.